Hey John, how are you?
Uh, Doing well. How you doing? Tell me
I'm doing
everything.
good. I'm doing good. It's been a busy last, geez, what's been since beginning of March, I guess. I guess been over a month then, 2 months.
That's great. So, what was
So
the onboarding and line and dock, and what was that all about? So, what was that like?
yeah, essentially it was a lot of at-home studying. They don't send you anywhere for training. It's they
Okay.
do all the training there. So I got a lot of books and was told to go home, study. I needed a certain amount of minimum time to go take the check ride. So I
Okay.
needed, I think, 12 hours. And I said, when we think you're ready, you'll take the check ride. And so a lot of studying at home, a lot of online kind of computer-based training type stuff. And then on the line actual flying, what they did is there'd be a first officer, a captain, and then me. And so in the beginning, I sat along in the back, watched the as the first officer and the captain flew, and then also I was able to help with the actual freight operations too, which was helpful too
That's
because
good.
I haven't done that before. So it was a lot of hands on, which is the way I learned the best. So I didn't mind it. And then after 3 or 4 weeks of that, they said, okay, we're going to get you for your check ride. So scheduled the check ride. The check ride consists of a ground and a flight portion, and it went well. So
Oh, that's great. So
yeah,
now you're all done. You've been signed off, and now you're just flying the schedule. Yeah.
yeah, I'm on the line. So whenever I get the call, I go fly.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's great. So, you and I work together, and God, you may have the record for quickest sign up to job ever, because
yeah,
you joined and you had an interview set up, so we just got right to it. So,
yeah.
what was your mindset before you and I started working together about this interview? Like, did you know what to expect? Did you know what kind of questions you were going to ask?
No, beforehand, not really. So I was for a while. I think, in November of 24, I hit that 1,500 hours. So I thought, okay, I'll start just kind of applying to all these different places. And before that interview with Royal, I did have a few interviews, 2 interviews, but I was just applying, everywhere I could and doing as many interviews as I could. So I do
Hmm.
think those 2 interviews helped a little bit, but they
Yes,
were they
definitely.
were both. One of them was a phone interview with an HR guy who wasn't a pilot, so it felt like
Yep.
I was talking to him and he was just reading off a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
So that one
Right.
wasn't very helpful. The other one was in person, but I was looking for like a because I knew the stakes were a little bit higher now with because it's gonna be my first kind of big boy job, I guess.
Yes.
So I really wanted to get an interview prep and make sure I wanted to stand out because the amount of 1,500 hour CFIs that are walking around, I needed some way to stand out. So I said, all right, I need an interview prep system, and I stumbled upon you on it was actually Instagram. I think one of
Yep.
my friends was following you. I was like, "Who is this guy?" And I was like, "Oh man, this I like what he's doing, and I think it could be a help." And another one of the major reasons why is you look at some of the other interview prep stuff for the airlines. It's like $700, $800. And I
Jeez.
was willing to do it because at this point I've spent all this money in aviation. I thought, why not? But I thought I'll do some shopping first.
Yep.
And I ran into your program, and I it worked out fantastic because we ended up the timing. We did the interview prep the night before my interview.
Which is ideal. It's either the night before or
Yeah,
2 nights before, and just kind of let it percolate so that when you show up, you're fresh. And
yeah,
and I do like that process a lot because you're gonna make some mistakes on interviews. So you can either make them with
oh yeah,
me or on actual interviews. So it's just better just make them with me and we'll chat about how to phrase things a little better. And also, we tell our story the worst. So it's kind
yeah,
of good to have another person go, don't forget to
yeah,
mention X, Y, and Z.
yeah. I also wish. I mean, I think it didn't happen this way just because I was with you guys for so shortly, just the way it timed out. But I think what would have been helpful too is not only do interview prep with you, but you guys have the community, just
Yeah.
meeting with someone random who's also looking to do interviews and they have questions to ask you and you have questions to ask them. That would be very helpful too, you
That's
know?
yeah. I'll mention that. The community aspect. It feels. like we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's it's very, very cool. Well, that's
Mhm.
really great to hear. I'm just nothing makes me happier than getting that notice of I got the job, because
Yeah.
it's a big deal, and unless you've gone through it, you just don't know how big a deal it is. Not
Yeah.
just to get the job, but it's kind of you get the job in two stages. Okay, you got the job, but you really just got the job to train.
Yeah.
Now once you got to pass your ride. If you don't pass your ride, that's kind of it. So
Yeah.
stakes are high.
Yeah.
It's a grown up job without there's just no question about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I felt like when I got the job, I almost didn't want to tell everybody except my close family because I thought, man, how embarrassing if I get this job and I get to my check ride and it doesn't go well. So I tried to keep it just a close family until I passed my check ride and did my first trip on the actual line.
It's a smart way to go because I'm watching it happen another company right now. This poor guy just nerves got the hold of him,
Yep.
and he
Yep.
just had some bad habits based on someone who trained him. So I
Hmm.
really feel for him, but it does
Yeah.
happen. So you did the right thing. We're just a couple of people, and then tell everybody why once you've got share the photos and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah. So any what surprised you about flying the Falcon?
The Falcon jet itself. Well, I think the obvious one is just the speed of it. I think
Yeah.
the first takeoff I did, it just felt like I was hold on to the tail of a dragon. I mean,
Yeah.
the captain just kind of looked at me, all right, we're lined up, let's go. And I put the power levers forward and oh my God, I just had to keep pulling up and pulling because normally it felt so unnatural because normally in the planes I was flying, the piston airplanes, normally 172s, if you have the nose of the airplane much past 5 or 10 degrees, you're slowing down in a climb. And so I mean, it was 20 degrees nose up or more climbing out, you know, that was, and keeping up with it, you're 3,000 feet, now you're 6,000 feet, and it just happens in a matter of seconds. So that was probably one of the biggest things as far as just airplane alone is
Staying ahead of it too.
yeah, yeah.
Did you find things were happening real fast?
Yeah, they're happening real fast, especially on the takeoff phase, and even more so well, I think takeoff's the quickest because at least landing, you slow down a little bit because you're coming into land.
Right.
But the biggest, I think, transition for me was, I'm used to speed limits. Have I ever worried about speed limits? No, because in a 172, if I break a speed
Yeah.
limit, the wings are going to snap off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, flying out of the airport we do, it's under a Bravo shelf, so you have to be under 200 knots. Well, and when we're climbing out, well, I've never had to worry about exceeding 200 knots in a climb. So now found myself looking at my airspeed, then looking at my altitude, then my airspeed. My eyes just felt like they had to move 10 times as fast. Because beforehand, I just, put her to the firewall and hold 100 knots, and eventually you'll get to 3,000 feet. So that took a while to get used to just how quickly, how many, and then remembering, okay, above 10,000 feet, below 10,000 feet, the speed limit changes, you know? So that was probably the biggest thing getting used to.
How about your duties as an FO? Have you come across any captains that are kind of old school going, no, I ain't doing that. That's your job, kiddo.
You know what? So far I've only flown with two different captains because I had one for training captain and then one different captain on the line. And so far I haven't interacted with a personality that was too crazy for me,
That's
but
good.
I feel like I have just going through aviation and the airport I was instructing at and the jobs I had before. I had interacted with enough characters before where it would really take some kind of, crazy nonsense to, I think, really bother me. But so far, I've kind of been able to morph and kind of, okay, this captain likes to do it that way. I'm okay with that. This one likes to do it this way, and I'm okay with that. So it hasn't been yet, nothing too crazy yet. So,
That's really good. That is a skill that will serve you well because every time you change companies, you're at the bottom again and you're an FO
yeah,
again. So just
yeah.
be flexible. And
But,
sorry, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
I was just going to say, because the more flexible you are, you're actually going to get on their good side, and then they're going to teach you their secrets. That's the
Hmm.
big goal.
And I think that working that line job before being a CFI was helpful because you're dealing with sometimes a guy lands and who knows how long he was crammed inside the cockpit of that little airplane for, and he's an older gentleman. Well, he's not going to be nice to you. Some of them are, some of them aren't, you know, and just being around that. And I think it goes a long ways, you know, because you know how to operate around those kind of personalities then.
Invaluable experience because I was in that position on Easter Monday recently where I just did
Oh, really?
I almost maxed out my flight time just because it was a busy day. And
Oh,
by the end
wow.
of it, I was getting a little testy. I was just tired.
Yep.
But no, this is really, really good. So looking back, because it sounded like your interview was more of a hangout interview, like it wasn't
Hmm.
really all that technical.
Hmm. Yeah. It really was. There were a few questions in there where maybe it got a little technical, but 99% of it was personality based. And now that I've done the job, I can see why that was the focus because some of these trips, I'm hanging out with the same person for 4 days in a row. I mean, we get our separate hotel rooms, but
Yeah.
you meet, you get breakfast, you're sitting around some days we're waiting 8 hours in a terminal for the freight to show up. Well, if I don't care if the guy's smart, if the guy's going to be a jerk to me for 8 hours, I don't want him working for the company. So it makes sense. That's why that is their process of hiring is they want to make sure you're going to fit in with all the captains that they have. Because even if you're a good pilot and none of the captains like you, well, guess what? Now you have no one to fly with. No one will fly with you.
Yeah, it's a big thing. And again, until you're out there because it's an intimate relationship because you're spending a
Yeah.
lot of time together,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And I've heard many a chief pilot say, "Look, flying the airplane, that's the easy part. It's just dealing with each other, you know."
Yeah. Really.
So that's really really great to hear. I'm so thrilled that you got this. I mean, I'm happy everybody does, but this was a good one. Like
Yeah.
it's such a it sounds like a really quality operation, and you can just kind of settle in for a while, be
Yep.
captain on the
Yep.
Falcon for a while for as long as you want, because
Yeah.
it's just going to get easier for you to get the next thing the more time you spend there.
Yeah. No, it's exciting for sure. But I do really think that I don't know how it timed out that way because when I scheduled it was the interview. Well, I think what I scheduled was like the first 15-minute consultation, right?
Yeah,
And it was months, I think it was like a month out. I thought, oh, I'll just schedule on this day. And it ended up being the exact day before the interview.
so
And
perfect.
it worked out perfectly. And I think it was a huge factor in how the interview went because I think it just kind of helped calm my nerves a little bit, knowing that and it almost helped too that I hadn't even met you before because it was like, okay, a random person I haven't met yet, or I guess just a person I haven't met yet is going to throw a bunch of questions at me and I have to
Yeah.
answer them. And we did that. So then the next morning, I thought, I just did this last night. Just go do the same thing again, you know?
Oh,
So it
so
worked
great.
out perfectly. It really did.
Well, I so thrilled for you. I just can't tell you. So thanks for doing this. Stay in touch.
Of
If you need
course.
anything, just let me know. Always available.
Thank
And
you.
now that you're in the industry for real, I hope it treats you as well as it's treated me because I love going to work.
Yeah, I saw that picture you sent me yesterday, and I've never flown a Beaver, but it's always been, even since I was little, just seeing them in the movies, it's always been that one plane that is just a dream of mine, you know? So
Well, if you ever find yourself up in Vancouver, let me know. I'll not only I'll show it to you, I'll let you warm it up, and we'll.
yeah,
It's such a great airplane. I
there's
mean,
something about those radial engines, just oh my
that's it.
gosh. Yeah.
Beefy, beefy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, there. Well, yeah. Fly safe. Stay in touch. Let me know how things go, and keep me updated.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we'll talk to you
All
hopefully
right.
real
Yep.
soon.
Yes. Take care, John.